there's different controllers that you can use in this game, and oh, he's counting down 3, 2, 1, go. So he's just started the run now.
Okay.
There's a lot of different controllers that players can use, and I think CMA is using the Wii Classic controller, which is the one that you have to plug into the Wiimote to use. And yeah, it's like that's not the most popular controller, but it is one that players use, and yeah, I just thought that was really cool. I just noticed that because I personally use the GameCube controller, and I think a lot of people do, but for Seema to use that, I think it's interesting. It's different.
Did you see him kind of like do that motion at his chest? It looked like he was kind of nervous to start.
Yeah, he's got a towel in his hand, like on the side, and he's just wiping the sweat off.
The towel.
He'll be a bit nervous, but he'll be fine. Like I said, he's one of our top runners in this category at least. He's currently, if I double check on leaderboards, because I've got that open right now in case anyone in chat's curious, he's currently ranked 6th in the world for this category.
Competitive to needless to say, category is competitive.
Yeah, MST is a pretty competitive category if you ask me, so to be up there is pretty impressive. But he'll be fine, so he's just mashing through the text now.
Seema,
yeah, like I've only heard of this guy, but I've never actually seen him run, so this will actually be really interesting. No doubt he's going to be absolutely beast. Most of the Japanese players are.
Mm-hmm.
And I see a lot of familiar faces in the chat from the OOT community. And someone asked, why no audio from the game?
Yeah, they can't. Well, the way we're doing the stream here is they're just playing a soundtrack for the game because if they're to capture the audio, it'd include the Japanese commentary, and then if it includes Japanese commentary, we'd be talking over it.
Oh, so. Okay. I was wondering, could they just make it like, what's the word? They could just not mute it, but like make it soft. That way, at least they could still hear the gameplay. But I suppose they could just, if it's just a restream, they could just, turn the Japanese audio on.
True. Can very much so do that at twitch.tv/RTA in Japan is the Japanese stream, and this is of course the English restream on Speed Gaming for RTA in Japan, the first in-person Japanese speedrunning event in Akihabara, Japan.
That's so cool. I can tell from the webcam there's actually a fair few people there, so that's really cool.
And it's 5:46 p.m. in Japan.
Yeah, they're 3 hours behind me in Australia, so that works out. Okay, so now we're actually going to get into some of the meat and potatoes of this.
Yep, we're through Link waking up here.
Yeah. So yeah, the first step is he's probably just going to do specific movement to get 40 rupees so he can buy a Deku shield. And apart from that, he's also going to grab the Kokiri sword. And this movement here is all intentional. It's just the most efficient way to get to that crawl space he just went in. So just for those who don't know, the fastest form of moving in this game are backwalking, side hopping, and in certain circumstances doing really well-timed rolls. Generally, I guess the rule of thumb is if your rolls are like, if you have to roll in a straight line 4 to 5 times, you're better off just using that time to turn around and backwalk that distance. For parts that you have to go where it's a lot of curving, you're better off just timing your rolls and angle changing that. So yeah, now he's just picking up some extra rupees, and most players equip the sword in this crawl space here. It's not really, you don't really have a time when you have to do it, but sometime soon is good because he's actually going to get a rupee from slashing a fence. And that one. And then there's actually a rupee he can get here by doing a trick called bridge clip. Just by timing a jump slash on a very specific frame when you jump, it pushes Link's, I guess, sprite like just a bit further up, and then collision detection puts him on top of that bridge. And then there's 5 rupees behind the shop, and now he'll pick up the Deku shield. Now, suppose in like a casual playthrough, what people would do then is go to the Deku tree and complete Deku tree before going out to Hyrule Field, but He's actually going to leave the forest early by doing a trick called Pokey Escape. And he's going to set that up right now. So he grabs that extra 5 from the stepping stone. So just by getting a very precise angle against this wall near the fence, he will actually get a trick called ISG, which is Infinite Sword Glitch, and it also pushes him past the guy in the door, which we call Pokey, and he's able to leave the forest early. And that skips a big sequence of this game. The reason we don't do Deku Tree first is because we actually need to use that later on to do something else, and it just turns out that in terms of routing, it's faster to do it this way, and also we need a bottle to do a big glitch in the Deku Tree. So where he's going to go to Kakariko now to pick up a bottle and watch this cutscene and grab the Ocarina.
He was pretty happy about getting that skip right away. Pretty hard to do, right?
It's one of those things where it can really troll you. Like, I've seen some of the best runners lose a fair bit of time to that, because just on an off day he can just be really, really annoying. But it always just feels good to just get that out of the way. It's like, okay, first big thing, now I can keep going.
Yeah, that was first or second try. I mean, got it.
Yeah, he looks really nervous though, but he has no reason to be. He'll be fine. Yeah. So yeah, that's the big first sequence break. And the reason he's going to Kakariko to get the bottle is because there's 4 bottles you can get in Ocarina of Time. The one of the bottles is to collect all the chickens in Kakariko, and then talk to the lady guarding the pen, and she'll give you a bottle. The other bottle is through in Lon Lon Ranch, when you talk to Talon and you play the chicken game and he gives you milk, he gives you a bottle that way. The other bottle that you can get is also getting the letter in the bottle. If you play through the game casually, to get into Jabu's belly, you have to go grab the bottle in Lake Hylia and present it to King Zora, and he'll like scoot over, doing that classic Mweep thing. He'll scoot over very slowly and let you through. And the 4th bottle is getting all the big Poes as adults. So out of all the bottles that I just mentioned, the most optimal one is, in terms of time, would be to get the one in Kakariko, because it's got the least amount of requirements. You literally just have to leave the forest and go to Kakariko. All the other ones that I mentioned have some sort of additional requirement, whether it's becoming adult or getting another item or something like that.
Sounds like some careful routing here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I see a few people in chat asking what this category is. This category is called MST, Medallion Stones Trials. Basically, you have to, as Mythical just said, beat all the adult dungeons to get the medallions, beat all the child dungeons to get the spiritual stones, and then there's these mini rooms in Ganon's castle right before you fight Ganondorf, and we call them trials, and you have to do them as well before fighting Ganondorf and Ganon. So now he's now see Amazing Kakariko Village, just preparing to get the Cocos.
Yeah, it might be good if they could make a command for that category thing.
Yeah.
Something they could do right now.
Hopefully, yeah. So he's just doing some very specific movement here to get the Cocos. Actually, something that I just missed when I was explaining for the bottles, he did something called a water extended super slide into Kakariko, where he jump slashed and then he was kind of sliding out of the water. That's done by holding a very specific position on your controller called the ESS position, where Link is sort of like just moving. And the reason we do that is so it enables us to maintain our speed from knockback, whether it's from like a jump slash or from like shielding like the explosion frames of a bomb. But apart from that, the game thinks that Link is busy during that time. So there's actually an owl right outside of Kakariko that, if we talk to, would waste a lot of time. But also, we can't actually collect the Cocos at night, so he needs to get in there before day. So that just gives us a bit of extra leeway. So now he's just collecting the Cocos here in a very precise order, just the most easy way to manipulate them. These Cocos actually have a bit of RNG in terms of their movement. I think they all start out in the same position, but then governed by RNG and also Link's movement, they'll move in a different pattern, so they can like just slip out of your range, like that one here. And sometimes you can talk to Andrew, which is annoying, but he'll be fine. I think he's just a little bit nervous. Come on, Zima, you got this. All right, awesome.
Right
So
by
you got
her.
it. You got it. I'll give him a little clap on my end. So
He's
he's got the
laughing
bottle. Yeah. So he's asking about it. He got the bottle now, and he's gonna go get the bugs underneath this rock, and he'll need that for a glitch in the Deku tree. The bottle is actually one of the most broken items in this game. It allows us to do so many things that otherwise would just be like impossible. Oh, and funny enough, that text there that you see on the screen, it says you need a classic controller to play this game. A lot of our Wiis are set to either like NTSC, U, or PAL, and if you try to play the Japanese version of the game on that, it will just display some garbled text. So it's actually cool to see like that text for once, like actually say what it's meant to say. So yeah, he's just gonna go over to the Deku tree now.
Yeah, I was wondering if we were gonna have some bottle shenanigans.
Oh yeah,
So
it's gonna
happen.
It's gonna happen a lot, and I'll point them out I'll try to point them out as well as I can each time it happens.
That's just all I know it as.
Bottle shenanigans, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good name for it, to be honest. So he's gonna pick up a Deku stick because he needs one, and he's gonna do the thing. Yeah. So what he did there was he actually jump slashed into the Deku tree cutscene. Normally, if you just roll in, Link will just sort of like waddle in and talk to the Deku tree. But if you jump slash into that cutscene, it delays Link's animation walking in, and the game is like, oh well, I don't know where to. We're gonna approximate where we should put him, and he just goes flying in, and it actually saves a bit of time because you actually are closer to the Deku tree. It's one of those mini, like, tiny things in the game that saves like a few frames here and there, but it's always fun to do because he just like bolts in. Okay, so now he's in the Deku tree. This is actually one of the more technical dungeons, in my opinion, in MST, because there's so many tiny things that you can do to save time. But if you mess them up, they can waste a lot of time as well. And that's excluding like the big thing that's happening at the end. I mean, in terms of like movement and just, I guess, just general execution of it. So now, ooh, that was close. Okay, so what he did there was get a trick called ISG. Basically, you just interrupt a crouch stab using Navi, either like reading a sign or targeting an enemy and using Navi to like look at the enemy. And ISG has some weird properties. The first one is you can't fall off ledges, but what CMA is going to be doing here is he's going to be... he messed it up. He was trying to do a very specific setup to break the web. And by breaking the web in that specific way, you can actually skip the entire first basement in this game, and we call that B1 skip. There's a few different setups, but ISG B1, I think, what we call as ISG B1 skip is the most fast way to do it, but it's pretty precise, and it can actually be controller dependent, depending on like how well mapped your diagonals are and if they're worn out or not. But because he failed that, he's going to have to do one of the older strats that I still use because I'm really bad at ISG B1.
This one will be more consistent, though?
Yeah, this one's very, very consistent. Like, it's the one that a lot of new runners use. And I think he failed that one as well. He's probably just a little bit nervous. But then if you fail that, in OOT, there's always like 10,000 backups. So he's just going to do a backup strat to get onto the upper basement floor.
Oh, he intended to land on the upper floor?
No, he didn't mean to intend in that. That jump slash he did was actually meant to take him to where he's on now. But because he missed it, he had to do a backup strat to land on that where he is now. So now he's in the scrub room.
I see.
But yeah, that's a great thing about Ocarina of Time is that if you fail a strat, normally, if it's not a run-ending strat, there's always like a backup that you could do. To, like if you want to keep going with the run, you can do it. And it's always good to learn those. A lot of runners I know don't really the backups. They just sort of learn like the trick and go, well, okay, I'm just gonna get it. But if they don't get it, it's like, well, what do you do?
So you reset. That's what they do.
Yeah.
You don't know it, then going to Reset City.
Exactly. So now he's actually gonna fight Goma now, and he's not sure if he's gonna do it. Knowing him, he will. He's actually gonna do a trick called Goma Clip. And that will involve getting that ISG trick that I was mentioning before, where With ISG, you can't fall off ledges, but also your sword is active for every possible frame. So that's what he's got there. That's why his sword is flashing.
Yeah, such a crazy glitch. Like it's awesome. Like it makes you powerful and that has other shit that it does. It's great.
So yeah, he's going to do a Goma clip now. Basically, by getting Goma into a very specific spot and you standing in a very specific spot, then backflipping on a very specific frame, Goma will actually push you through the wall there. Man. And the reason he's leaning really close to the TV is he's listening for an audio cue with Goma, because you basically have to time a Deku Nut throw on a very specific... basically, when you hear Goma like do another stomp, you throw a Deku Nut. But you need to be really careful of like when you hear that. So he's probably leaning into the TV to make sure he hears the thump.
So why did he want to go behind the door? Was that the only way to deal damage that quick?
No, the other way you can do it is by doing something called double KO, where you kill Goma and die on the same frame. The reason we do that is because we actually need access to the door that CMA just went through. Because he's going to be doing a really big skip now called... we call it Ganon door, but you guys will, for those of you who don't know, you guys will see why later. This is why he needed the bottle, actually. So, one thing you should note in this game is that you can't play an Ocarina in boss rooms, but we need to do that for this next trick coming up, and he's most likely looking for a texture that we line up with, but going from the game feed, it looks pretty dark.
Yeah.
So he's doing the setup now. Oh, no. Messed it up. It's okay. It's okay. But I think he just got he either got his position mixed up, or he missed the inputs for the glitch that he was meant to do, which is called Ocarina items. Basically, all Ocarina items is you're playing a fake Ocarina, and by playing a fake Ocarina and by landing in the blue warp on a very specific spot, it allows you to manipulate the blue warp, and we'll use that to our advantage. But because he failed it once, he needs to, I guess, change some of the game's internal flags such that when he does the warp the trick properly, it's not going to put him into like a soft lock spot.
So there was repercussions to missing that?
Yeah. So if you miss it and then you try again, you actually have to pause in Link's house there, and that will clear the flag to do it again. If you don't do that and say you went for it theoretically, you will, and if you do it right, you'll just end up in this black screen and you're just constantly voiding, and there's no way you can get out of it unless you reset.
It's like, it's kind of rough. Like he's got to walk back to the dungeon and stuff.
Yeah, it is a bit rough, but like I said, it's good to know these backups for like marathon runs like this where you just want to keep going.
Mm.
Someone in chat just asked, is he playing with the DualShock? No. He's playing with a Wii Classic Pro controller.
Yeah, those are nice.
Okay, so now because he's had to come back into the Deku tree, he's actually loaded that web that he jumped through before, because it wasn't completely loaded. But because he's come back in, he just had to light the web and do it again. So now he'll do the setup again. But the TV does look very dark. Like there's a very specific little white triangle that we use as our reference point, but if the TV is super dark, it can make it nearly impossible to see where it is. So yeah, fingers crossed he can pull it off now. He's leaning into the TV, even he can't see. This is pretty rough. He got the trick, but he missed the blue warp. That was it, what I was mentioning there about playing the fake Ocarina. Basically, you drop an item like bugs or fish, and then you pick them up again, so your bottle is blue. And then when you backflip, you push the bottle button in midair, but then you interrupt it with like another item that doesn't have an animation, like a sword or a stick. And the game doesn't know like what animation to play because a sword and stick don't have animations. So it just defaults to the default animation, which is just playing an Ocarina. So he cancels the playing the Ocarina at a very specific spot, and he's moving in a very specific way now. And that changes how many frames a blue warp advances, and he's in Ganon's castle. Now, in the any percent category, you would just run down the tower and finish the game, but in this category, we've got a lot more to do.
More to do, yeah.
But the reason he's doing this now is to get early explosives. Because the other apart from the bottle, explosives are also like a very game-breaking thing, especially if you can get them early. So this is one of the trials that he's gonna have to do. Like, he's gonna have to come back and complete later, but he's gonna finish it off partially. He's gonna actually get bomb chews from this room. But there's actually a rupee right above this Beamos's head that you can't normally reach unless you have a hook shot. But he's going to be using a setup that we use that involves that ISG trick again. And you're basically going to be hovering off the Beamos's, I guess, laser. And then like backflipping, and then you'll eventually be just high enough to get it.
Earlier, were you saying, was you saying blue orb? When you're talking, it wasn't.
Oh, sorry,
sure.
Blue warp. My bad.
Blue warp. Oh, okay.
The blue warp that you use. Okay, so he just got the blue warp that's at the end of every dungeon when you beat the boss. We basically in this category, as far as I'm aware. No, I remember there's only one, depending on what strats Seema will use. All the blue warps that we encounter in this game will skip by either like skipping the cutscene associated with getting the medallion or the stone, or using it to warp to another location. Because watching those cutscenes is a huge waste of time.
Don't even need to go in them.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Like I said, depending on what strats Seema uses, he's at most going to watch 2 of the cutscenes associated with those blue warps. One of them I know is definitely going to be Jabu-Jabu's belly, but the other one could be Water Temple, but depending on what strat he uses, like I said, I'm not sure. But yeah, he just got bomb chews in that room, and he used one bomb chew to light the switch at the opposite end. Because he has to come back and complete this room later as adult, that's one of the trials in MST. He threw a bomb chew onto that switch. He's a bit nervous. These guards can be really, really annoying, so he's just playing it safe. But what I was saying with that trial is that depending on how many bomb chews you have at the end of the run, if you don't have enough, then you could potentially like screw yourself up with that room. So he's just using one now to hit the switch as like a just in case for later. And he got caught by guard. He got caught by the guard. This is pretty rough as well because he's come to Zelda's castle at such a late time from when he left the forest to go to Kakariko. He may or may not get another shot at guards because when it's nighttime, the guards will be blocking the door. But because Seema's movement is so good, he gets another shot.
Oh yeah, it is dusk out there.
DJ Gamer asked, was that another wrong warp? Nah, it's just that when you leave Ganon's castle as child, the game thinks it's still Hyrule Castle or Zelda's castle. So when you leave, it just becomes what it was as a child, which is Zelda's castle. Which is convenient for us because Seema actually needs to do this to get Zelda's Lullaby, which will be used a lot not a lot, but will be used a fair bit in this run. It's actually specifically he needs this. I remember now. He needs this to get magic later, and if you don't have Zelda's Lullaby, you can't summon the great fairies. True destruction. What he just said in chat was true. Most runs do die to guards.
The stick in the cutscene.
Yeah, this is a pretty this is a nice novelty. If you pull a stick and then you roll if you roll and mash A while you're rolling and you talk to Zelda at the same time, Link won't put away his stick.
That's pretty good.
It's just a nice novelty just to make runs a little bit more interesting because this cutscene can be pretty boring.
Otherwise, it's so funny.
Yeah,
I like it in the first person view. That's the best.
Yeah, this one isn't actually the worst one. If you get Saria's song for any reason, like in Glitchless, or if you do an Ocarina of Time bingo, it looks even more suggestive.
There's more stick moments. Oh man,
it's not so much more stick moments. It just looks worse, like the way the camera's positioned and stuff. It makes you. Yeah, that's what I meant. I don't know if this stream's like G-rated or anything like that, but yeah.
You can't trust Link, one way or another.
No. say yeah, so basically he's watching this cutscene to get Zelda's letter, and then that will trigger the next bit to get Zelda's lullaby. But he's I guess I won't spoil too much of it, but he's going to be doing it in a way such that he won't have to watch the cutscene that is associated with it. Normally, if you just do it normally, you would when you learn Zelda's lullaby, Impel will talk to you and then teach you the song, then take you outside. But there's a way we can skip that. Okay, so there's actually a command now for MST.
Awesome.
They should have put at the end, it's basically 100% minus the boring stuff, but I guess we don't want to make people angry. Like I said, I pissed off a fair few people by saying that, but I guess each their own, right?
It's just an opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this but like I said with the, earlier on, there's another category that they're doing dungeons, and it's a very similar run, but you actually don't need Zelda's lullaby at all. It's actually the cutscene I think that has the least amount of it's the category that has the least amount of cutscenes. So if you want a game, if you want a category that's just all systems go, just do that. I'm sorry, Cosmic, I didn't mean to offend you, mate. I'm just kidding, dude, don't worry. Okay, so now he's doing a setup here to, like I said, to get Zelda's lullaby while skip the cutscene. He's just trying to turn around. Okay, so what he did there was backflip. He got into a very specific position, then he backflipped and dropped a bomb chew, and the bomb chew explosion pushed him into the cutscene, but also killed him at the same time. But when you do that in this game, when you get pushed into a song cutscene and you die, the game just gives you the song. So now he's got Zelda's lullaby without having to watch the whole crazy thing of like Impa teaching you and stuff like that. Okay, yeah. Mythical just edited the command. It's basically 100% without all the boring stuff. Mikami Hero 2016. I am gonna get crucified. I'm gonna get absolutely crucified. I see a few people that I know from the community in chat. They're gonna destroy me later. Okay, so now he's actually gonna go to Jabu-Jabu's belly, and there's actually an owl right above the entrance, but he's doing a very specific setup here. Where he targets the bomb chew, and when you target something, it considers Link busy as well. And where he just entered through that tunnel, there was actually an owl right above there, so he just skipped that owl.
So when you say like the game thinks Link's busy, do you mean from what? Like from getting into what exactly?
From like a trigger perspective, like it's not going to trigger a cutscene or anything like that. Like, okay. For example, those owls can sometimes talk to you when you're not doing anything, but by doing like that West he did earlier into Kakariko, or by targeting something like a sign or an item, the game will think Link is busy, so it won't trigger that cutscene. Otherwise, I think weird things happen.
Cool. Makes perfect sense.
So he just did a mega side hop there off the bomb chew explosion to enter into Zora's domain. So, yeah, so in this category, if you miss that, you can still pull your Ocarina out and play Zelda's Lullaby to enter, but that's just a much faster way of doing it. He's picking up some Deku nuts now because he'll need some for Jabu's belly. And I think the next trick he'll do, because I don't know what the strats these Japanese runners use, but he's going to be doing a... Hang on, what's he doing? He's doing a trick there called ledge cancel. So basically, by climbing the ledge and shielding the explosion on a very specific frame, the game still thinks you're actually on the ledge, like you've got ledge properties. And by doing that, you're actually able to squeeze past King Zora, and don't have to, do the silver scale, get the letter, and show it to him.
Was he out of bounds there?
No, he was actually just walking past King Zora, but the games thought that he just had the mechanics as if he was still on a ledge.
Oh, okay. So like the camera was just kind of freaking out.
Yeah, basically. And he just did a glitch there, just enter Jabu, because Jabu's loading zone actually extends quite far down.
Wow, that's cool.
Beneath his mouth, and he just stood on a very specific fence on the position on the fence, and just sort of backwalked and jump slash and just clipped in.
Yeah, I like simple stuff like that in speedruns, because like that could happen to someone casually on accident,
Yeah, if they were just mucking around, like, whoa, what happened? Someone in chat, Mr. White Flame, are there any advantages at all to running the 3DS? 3DS is a completely different game in terms of the glitches and the routes. There are some similarities, but at the end of the day, they're quite different games. Yeah, thank you, Wizard. Yeah, Wizards. When I say very specific, normally I mean frame perfect. So yeah, now he's just going through Jabu's belly, and unfortunately, part of Jabu's belly is like an escort quest where you have to like take Gerudo around with you. But we actually need Gerudo because we need the boomerang to finish off Baronade, and unfortunately, we can't do it without her because she helps us trigger one of the switches right at the end.
Is that the boss of this Jabu Baronade?
Yeah, Baronade, the big tentacle boss. And you need the boomerang to like clip its tentacles when it's like clinging to the roof.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jabu's a fairly simple dungeon in this run. Like, there's not too much that can go wrong. Maybe like one or two things, but in general, it's a pretty consistent dungeon in terms of like if you practice it enough, there's not too much that can go wrong.
He threw Gerudo at the button on the ceiling.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, there's a lot of times when like that's one time he'll do it. It just saves an explosive, and plus he doesn't have the slingshot, so explosives or Gerudo will work. And he's just like spazzing out there in front of her.
Her head, I think, has a nice hitbox on it, probably.
Most likely, yeah. Some people do Gerudo like, what are they called? Like pull-ups or like chin-ups, where they just drop her and like pick her back up. I just sort of just stand there and wait. Okay, so now he's gonna go over to get Boomerang. I've done that before. You're trying to open the door, but then you just push it like a few frames too early, and you just end up throwing her instead.
Oh, funny.
But like I said, yeah, you need her for this particular switch where Navi says you need 2 people for this switch to be pulled down. Then after this, you don't really need her. But CMA will most likely use Gerudo to kill one of these little stingray thingies. I can't remember what they're called, but yeah, he killed one of them there, and then Deku nuts the other 3, and then kills these ones. And now he'll get the boomerang. And after this, you don't actually need her anymore.
Gerudo is a versatile weapon.
Yeah, basically. They're called stingers. Okay, thank you, Cosmic. Appreciate it, buddy. It's like how I called the Beeries jellyfish for like ages, and everyone made fun of me. And I'm like, what are they actually called? And he's like, they're called Beery. I was like, oh, how was I supposed to know that? So yeah, now he's got the boomerang. He can actually go fight Jabu now. But normally what you're meant to do, destroy 3 of these big other tentacles, then fight the big Octo, and then there's like a platform that lifts up that allows you to cross this gap that you see right now. But by getting this box here, you're actually able to do something called a box mega flip, and basically cross this gap. So you basically, oh, you just missed it. That's when I said there was only like 1 or 2 things that could go wrong. That
Dang. Oh, and then what happened with the?
Basically, I think he just had a bad angle, and it just like from the distance it looked like it was okay. He just had a bad angle. It didn't quite clip through that little gap where the door is. So he might actually. Oh, is he really going to do this? Oh my gosh, he's going to do something called a Beery hover now. So when I say with ISGs, when your sword is active for every frame and you can't actually fall. So what he's going to do is shield this damage from the Beery and just keep backflipping while sticking against the wall, and that way he's never going to actually fall. And this is very, very slow, but it's so funny to watch. You're basically just hovering really, really high up.
looking like an actual like puppet there.
Yeah. This is actually a legit strat, but like I didn't think he'd actually go for it, but so, I'm glad he did. You know, he's a good sport. And then from here, this is the platform that I said that push like that you normally not summon, but like it falls down when you finish Big Octo. I can't believe you went for that. Oh, that's awesome. He's a character. And what he's doing there, he's pausing on a very specific frame to for this switch. Basically, if you roll and pause on a specific frame, you're actually able to open the door like that. I think normally you need to put Gerudo on there and then walk through, but that's just a very quick way of doing it.
Pretty slick.
But yeah, as Walter said, it does save a chew, and in this category, actually, there's one thing I forgot to mention. This category forbids you to do any form of item manipulation. Like, you're not able to tweak like your explosive amounts like in a weird way or something like that, or you can't write items into your inventory without getting them first.
That's not allowed in this category.
No, in this category, nah.
Okay.
Any form of item manipulation is banned. And the reason I mentioned that is because with item manipulation, you can actually change the amount of bomb chews you got. So if you are low, you can write more into your inventory. But because you can't do that, the only other way to get bomb chews in this game, besides from the chests that are scattered, like there's 3 chests, I'm pretty sure that have bomb chews, is to do the bomb. There's a guy I remember in Hyrule Castle at night, and he sells bomb chews, but I don't know what the requirements are to actually buy them off him. And they're normally heaps expensive, and slow. So really, the bomb chews that we have are quite precious in this category. So I think it was a good call from someone in chat. What's his name? A Walter's Kong does save a chew. So yeah, he just killed Baronade there. So the Baronade fight is pretty simple. It just comes down to timing the boomerang throw to hit the tentacles, and then what he did there was actually throw Deku nuts before Baronade was able to dispel all the big berries surrounding it. If you throw a Deku nut at the right time, it just kills all of them in one shot. Okay, so now this was one of the blue warps that you actually can't skip. Well, actually, a speedrunner in our community called Chris Balcock actually found a way to skip this warp and still get Azora Sapphire, I'm pretty sure, but it turned out to be slower. So it turns out, yeah, but I always try to tell him, and I try to tell people that even though it's slower, it's still good that people are looking into it, because it might spawn new ideas for other tricks that otherwise we're not sure of.
That is true.
Like,
that
never
happened.
hurts. Like, but that's like, I always tell people that's like science, you know, like not everything in science you find is going to be useful, but it might give someone an idea to try something else for another purpose.
Very good point.
So yeah, he's getting the Zora Sapphire now, and this is he's got 2 out of the 3 stones that he needs for this category. The reason we do Jabu as child is because if you wanted to do Jabu as adult, you actually need to get Boomerang on your B button, because you can't actually equip Boomerang on your C buttons as adult. So you need to do some like crazy item manipulation using a trick called Bottle Adventure to get a Boomerang on your B button and fight Baronade that way. Or I think you can use pots to damage. No, you actually didn't. You need Boomerang to like hit the tentacles off. So it works out to be faster to do Jabu as child. And like I said, you can't do any form of item manipulation. So it's pretty much the only way we've got. And we actually have the Kokiri Emerald from doing Deku Tree when we wrong warp to Ganon's castle. The reason we do that as child Link in this category is because we need those bomb chews. So now he's finished with the child section, and he's actually going to become an adult now, even though he doesn't have all the child dungeon stones. There's actually a way we can skip the Door of Time. Oh, don't waste another chew. Okay.
Do you end up going back and forth to a child after becoming adult then?
No,
or is
not
this
in this
just,
category.
This is it?
Not in this. This is it. Only in 100%. Okay. Only in 100%, another category called Reverse Dungeon Order that you will go back, and Glitchless, that you will go back as child and go back to as adult. In MST and most of the categories, once you become adult, you stay as adult. But what he was trying to do there is called a HES, a Hyper Extended Super Slide, using the Bomb Chew explosion, and using the tree as like a position, but he couldn't do it, so he's not going to waste any more bomb chews. It just saves a bit of time if you can get that hyper extended super slide.
Yeah, those are fun to watch. It's
scum
being across the whole landscape.
Yeah, exactly. Cosmic asked, Isn't it possible to warp to Sun Songs from Grave with? I'm not sure, Cosmic. I'm not sure. It'd be cool though if you could find a video for me to have a look at. So now he's gonna become adult.
Yeah, the other thing with the masks, wearing them in Japan, it's also common courtesy to wear a mask, even if you think you're not completely sick, or if you feel like you might be sick. Like it's common courtesy. So
Yeah.
because they are in smaller quarters in general, so it's easier to spread germs, and so you can see kind of where that culture came from a little bit.
Courteous culture.
Yeah,
So yeah,
they're very polite.
Yeah, what he did there was skip the door of time completely he did what's called a backwards side hop, and with that speed and angle it's enough to clip you. There's actually a tiny gap in the door of time that he clipped through, and then he just used a jump slash to bring himself back in bounds and then side hop past the door.
Yeah.
So now he's adult, and this cutscene's also kind of long, but it's not as bad. Most categories will have to watch this cutscene because that's the only legitimate way to get the Master Sword. But as Tanari said in this, it's actually a pretty big sequence break. The reason we don't do Dodongo's Cavern as well as Child is because we actually need to use the blue warp in Dodongo's Cavern when you kill Dodongo to do something else later, which I won't spoil. But it's like you said, Aquas, it's all perfect routing. Not perfect routing, but like careful routing.
Yeah, it's like you can really tell that the run was constructed like over the course of time.
Yeah, like I think that's another misconception people have. They just think that like the route that we have now is like the perfect route. I mean, it may be to our knowledge, but unless someone goes to actively time something new or something else gets found, it could change tomorrow. Like that's what I was talking about with Neko when he was testing some of the 1.0 exclusive tricks and trying to reroute it. It turned out that that's a more viable route for the Nintendo 64 version, but like at the same time we weren't sure. But I guess he was brave enough and curious enough to experiment.
Yeah, it seems like you really have like a lot of the tools to, put in that research too, and maybe you will find something. As far as, and what I mean by tools is, the various glitches that the game has for you to utilize. And when you have so many people like trying different stuff, like it's bound to always have the route improve.
Exactly. Like I think it's not easy, but like you said, with tools, there's so many tools that people have now at their disposal to find this stuff. Like we've got practice codes for the Wii VC version. We've got a practice ROM for the N64 version. We've got memory hacking software. I think back in the day, I've spoken to a few older school runners. Like there's one runner called Direwolf. He told me that back in the day when there weren't these practice codes and stuff like that, finding things was quite painful because if you stuff something up, you have to go all the way back. Whereas now with the practice ROM, you can just sort of load your position and try again.
Yeah, having save states so important.
Especially if you're like glitch finding or like just experimenting with something. It's just more efficiency. Like people sometimes use this purist argument of like, console for life and yada yada yada. But I'm like, at the end of the day, you're trying to be efficient with your time. We don't have all the time in the world, and we just sometimes sort of have to make do with the tools that we have. Yeah, Jesse, let's not mention that. Yeah. Like I said, I wasn't sure, so I try to keep my language to be sophisticated as possible. So yeah, this cutscene is quite long, but once this cutscene is over, there's no other big cutscenes you'll have to watch, except for most probably Water Temple cutscene, but depending on what strats he's going to use, I'm not sure whether he's going to skip that or not. But like I said, with the controllers, it's really, really cool how he's using the classic Pro controller because like it's one of the more rare thing in the community for people to use because you have to plug it into a Wiimote and you have to watch and you have to use batteries for your Wiimote as well. But each to their own.
That sounds about right.
Like the advantage with the classic Pro controller is the triggers are actually just digital buttons, whereas on the GameCube controller you sort of got this throw input, like this knockback from the spring, and it can frustrate a few players if your tricks need like frame perfect targets or frame perfect shields. Because of the distance it has to travel, you may end up screwing it up.
Yeah, but, I can see that. I can see that.
There's actually a way you can mitigate that. I actually took the springs out of my GameCube controller, so now they do feel like buttons.
Oh, okay. That's one way. Do they just kind of like? Are they just kind of like loose? So like they'll kind of go to the outer position just freely then, without the spring.
Actually, no. I was talking to another runner called Fig about this. They actually stay quite well in place. I didn't believe him until I tried it myself, and he's right. They don't actually pop out. They just sort of stay there with the angle that you're holding.
Huh.
Cosmic. It's good for other games, I'm sure, but for OOT. Like, for me personally, it started to hurt my hands after playing for a prolonged period of time. Like, because, like, the controller... Like, because you know, you're constantly moving that trigger finger all the time. It started to hurt my hand a bit, and after I removed it, I found that my hand pains were gone. And that's also, good. Yeah, just, you got to do stuff that works for you. So yeah, now he's actually going to the graveyard to get the hook shot, and he will actually be doing Shadow Temple later. As like this is the first dungeon as adult. Hardware manipulation.
It kind of is. You're talking about like the taking out the springs.
Yeah, I guess, but like, I don't know.
But if the classic Pro is okay and it doesn't have the spring,
yeah,
it doesn't have the springs. It's less like, well, I don't know. That can be dicey. That can be dicey.
Yeah, I think in the OT community, as long as you mod the controller in the way that it doesn't give you any added advantage, like you don't have a turbo button or you don't macro something, then it's generally okay. Like taking a spring out or changing like the analog cap on the stick or something like that.
Right, yeah, makes sense.
So yeah, he's doing the Dampe race here. Generally a good Dampe time is considered to be 47, and it is possible to get a 46, but I know it's pretty hard to do on the Wii Virtual Console because of the way the dead zone is mapped on this version. You don't have the most precise control over like specific directions as much as you do on the N64 version, but it's still possible. But 50 is still good. I mean, I can tell he's still a little bit nervous. Not quite the same thing, Zephyr, but I'll let you have that one, Capo. See, he's gonna get the hook shot now and enter Shadow Temple. So normally to enter Shadow Temple, you need to have the Prelude of Light, and then I'm pretty sure it's... I can't remember what the other conditions are to trigger Nocturne, but Nocturne of Shadow is one of the ways to get into Shadow Temple, but he's going to be doing a completely different way. So the setup he uses here is a bit convoluted, but I'll try explain everything as best I can. So first he gets ISG off this sign. So with ISG, you can't fall if you're hovering midair above a certain height. He's going to get into this specific corner, and he flicks up to reset Link animation. He backflips, and then he does something called a super slide there. And he tries to grab the bush at the same time. Now in this game, when you try to do a super slide and you're doing it off like a bush or like a bomb you can't pick up, the game remembers your XY position, like your flat position, but it doesn't remember how high you are. So what he did there was he kept holding the super slide input until he slid up the grave. So then when you let go of the inputs, the game's like, okay, let's snap you back to where the bush is. And then because he's higher up and he has ISG, he can't fall. So then he side hops he side hops onto that ledge and then walks along the scene to enter Shadow Temple. And the reason that's important is because if you load that room normally, you need a flame source to like light all the torches, like Din's fire or fire arrows. And because you don't have that, you have to make sure the room's not loaded, and that's one of the ways to do it.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah. It makes it's another big sequence break, because if you do this temple first, it gives you hover boots, and having hover boots early also sequence breaks this game a fair bit. It's like what I said earlier about getting bomb shoes early. It allows us to do that, and then allowing us to get hover boots also allows us to do some more crazy things. So now he just killed Dead Hand. Jump slash on a very specific frame. That way you get both hits of your Master Sword in. And then he's going to pick up hover boots now.
Yeah, those are weird. Yeah, those are weird jump slashes. He was doing like a hop slash.
Yeah, and then it just like it made sure. Yeah, I was wondering that, Cosmic. I don't know if CMA is going to do a trick called boat skip or not. That was one of the more recent skips that has been found. If he goes for it though, it's going to be really cool. I can tell by if he does it here. Yeah, he's going for it. Okay, so he's doing something called boat skip here. He first triggers something called EPG, entrance point glitch. It basically tricks the game into thinking you entered the room in a different spot, and that side hop side roll there was to put him in that corner of the door. And what he's going to do here, it's called boat skip because this set of movement actually skips that boat ride that you do in Shadow Temple altogether.
What?
So, yeah. Basically, what you do is you void out of this room, and then because entrance point glitch, you trick the game into thinking you entered the room through that corner, and then what you do is you end up voiding. You go through that gap in the door, the corner between the wall and the door, and then you just void, do a very specific side hop, and you end up right before Bongo's room. And it's an incredibly difficult trick because like the positions are very precise, and when you drop the chew and stuff like that is also very precise. And so he successfully voided.
You're being like, when you said voided, is that when are you being zipped here? Or?
Yeah, like he's actually he backflipped past the room and he voided, and that's the entrance point glitch put him into that corner that he just slid through. And then so he's waiting for a very specific frame, and then he's going to do a side hop here. And then where he lands now is actually the room right before Bongo. But you also have to navigate this room without textures. And the reason why this is scary is because if you fall, there's actually like a big chasm in the room, and if you fall, you basically have to do that whole thing over again. So now
this room's not loaded right now. Then
it's not. The objects are, the textures aren't.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So he's actually to his left is actually the boss door that goes to Bongo's room, and he's just buffered to a very specific frame, and you're actually able to skip past this boss door with this chew here. He gets what's called a ledge clip, targets on a very specific frame. The explosion pushes him through, and then he's through the whole segment. Normally, if you don't do boat skip, you have to ride the boat, and stuff like that. But it skips a big portion of this game. I wasn't sure if he was going to do it, but then someone asked in chat, and then as soon as I saw him target the door and crouch stab, I knew he was going to go for it.
Yeah, that was some black magic right there.
This was one of the tricks I said that was found earlier this year, and that's what sort of sparked more discussion on how certain categories are defined and what we should allow and what we shouldn't allow. But in MST, it didn't really matter. No runner really went for it in this category for a while because the setups that we used weren't as good back then, and also, like I said, our bomb chew count is a little bit tight. But eventually, we all just stepped up and started using it. Well, cool. I use it, but like some runners I know still don't, but it's up to them. Like you can still get some really good times without it, but it's still cool. I'm glad he did it because then it showed off what's possible.
Must be somewhat consistent if he wanted to do it in the marathon run here.
Yeah, like the setups that we have now are like really consistent.
Look,
like as long as you practice them enough, it's fine. So he killed Bongo, and he's actually manipulated the camera in a very specific way, and he's going to be doing something similar to what he did in the Deku tree, where he skips the cutscene to get the Shadow Medallion. So he'll still get the Shadow Medallion, but he won't watch the cutscene involved. So he did the trick called Ocarina items again, where you play a fake Ocarina and then you cancel it and you manipulate the blue warp in a very specific way. So the reason Link started floating there was because the blue warp was trying to take him up. As you know, when you step into a blue warp, the game will take you to the cutscene, but he maneuvered in a very specific way, and then
That's so weird.
that worked. Going where it says game over when Link stops spinning, once you've done this enough, you can normally tell if it's going to work. And that white flash there tells you that he got it. If you don't see the white flash, it means you got early frame, and you actually have to go back and do it all over again.
Damn.
But if you get late frame, you end up watching the cutscene, which is the lesser of two evils in this case, because you're not actually warping to like another place, you're just skipping the cutscene. So he got it. So that's when you see that white flash and you're at the start of the dungeon, it's like, oh, okay, relief.
That was so goofy looking.
Yeah, so Shadow Temple can be done like really quick. It's a dungeon that can be quite scary at times. I'm just trying to think when he's gonna get a fairy though. He needs a fairy for this next part. I'm just not sure where he's gonna get it because he needs 50. Okay, he needs 50 rupees, but he might be selling the bugs here. Yeah. So he's gonna buy a fairy for an upcoming trick. Okay, so the next part is gonna be Dodongo's Cavern. So he's actually going to go into Dodongo's Cavern at the moment to get a bomb bag.
Hey, they can hear your typing, by the way. Just...
Oh, they can? Okay.
You should probably mute it if you're gonna type violently.
Sorry, I'm not even typing that violently. I think my keyboard's just loud.
Fair enough.
Okay, so he's in Dodongo's Cavern now, and he's actually going to be doing a trick called, well, a lot of people in this community call the trick Doom Jump, but I think that is... A few runners have told me that name isn't meant to be given to the person who found it, which I think has something to do with the word doom. So without like disrespecting their opinions, I think the proper name for this trick is called hookshot jump. So you basically get into a precise spot, and then what he does here is he buffers to a specific frame, and then he unleashes or releases the hookshot, and then hits the hookshot on the same frame he dies. And the game actually doesn't have any collision for the bridge from underneath. So when he flies up and lands on the bridge, he'll just land there, and then that's what the fairy was for, to revive him.
Oh my god, that was like N64 ragdoll physics right there.
Yeah. And then now he's got the bomb bag. So now he's got two sets of explosives. He's got bomb bag and he's got shoes. So he'll need them all for later, but he'll most likely be using more of his bombs now, because bombs are easily replenishable from like bushes and stuff, but bomb shoes aren't as easily obtained. No, chat, I'm trying to maintain
everyone's
peace.
hyped for this though.
They don't like trigger jump, because I mentioned it before that I don't want to disrespect people, and they're just like, who cares?
Triggered. They've got the pun on hand.
Yeah, actually, some people started calling it trigger jump, and I'm like, oh no, like this is gonna really annoy somebody. But whatever, like, day, it's just a name. I guess it's like I guess it's sort of like in maths, people sometimes contest whether Newton or Gauss came up with calculus, but at the end of the day, no one cares because we still use it. But yeah, anyways, no, Dickbot, he's far from done. So now he's actually going to go get magic. He's going to go get magic from here. And the reason he's doing magic now is because it aligns with a song that we'll be using a fair bit called the Bolero Fire. So because those two are within close proximity to each other, we first get the bomb bag, and then we go and do the others, and then go back to the Dodongo's Cavern, because they're all within like the same area roughly.
There's a slide.
Yeah, that was what he did. It was called a backwalking super slide. Yes, Jesse, sorry, Leibniz, that's the one. Might be. But then, yeah, this should be interesting. Actually, there is a way you can do Dodongo's Cavern trip. What was I trying to say? Yeah, there is a way you can do all of Dodongo's Cavern in one trip. Like, you get magic first and get Bolero Fire, then go back to do Dodongo's Cavern. But doing that sort of tricks is actually quite difficult. So I think that's why he hasn't opted to do it. And then here comes the Great Fairy. And the reason we need magic is because we actually need to, when we fight Ganondorf, we need to use light arrows. And in order to use light arrows, we need magic. And also for some of the trials later in Ganon's castle, we'll need the fire arrows. And in order to use those, we need magic. So it only makes sense that we get it. And there's people in the Japanese chat. There's a mixture of what face and Craigasm. I don't know how you guys feel in the restream about the Great Fairy.
I think they always feel about the Great Fairy.
Molly, I'm not sure. I think Fig said the route, I guess if lag was the same, it would be faster, but because of N64 lag, I think they're not sure from what they said, but can't confirm. I'm in the camp. What
we need to beat them out for the Great Fairy love, guys.
Lotus Pod boat skip, I think, shaves about 2 to 2.5 minutes on average. I think. No, I could be overestimating there. Normally about 2 minutes, I think. It does have a fair bit of time. Okay, so what he's doing here is he was trying to damage buffer. Basically, when a bomb normally does half a heart of damage, but by using the Ocarina to like interrupt it, you can extend the damage frames of the bomb. He was trying to just multitask there, but it didn't end up working, so he's just going into the grotto now. He needs that fish for later as well, so he came in here to get the fish, get the bombs, and also reset his timer, because when you don't have Fire Tunic, the way your health is governed in this is by how many hearts you have, and each heart gives you 8 seconds. So now he's damage buffering down, because sort of like how he got Zelda's Lullaby, he's going to get the Bolero Fire without actually watching the cutscene associated to it.
Wait, sorry, go back. What do you mean each heart gives you 8 seconds?
So like, let's say you have 3 hearts filled up, then you'll have 24 seconds on the timer. If you have 4 hearts, it'll be 32 seconds. But let's say you have 5 hearts max, but you've only got 3 hearts filled, you'll still only have 24 seconds like you had there.
Oh, the base time is when you come in there, it's based off the hearts. Oh, I see. It's 24 right there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It makes sense because he's like burning. I get it.
Yeah. So what he was trying to do there was do a super slide down this hill, because normally what happens is if you walk in a very specific spot, the big Goron will wake up, the one that you get the big Goron sword from. But if you do a super slide past him, it actually, if you get a very precise angle, it puts you right in front of Dodongo's Cavern, which is where he needs to go. But he might have had his angle wrong there because he grabbed the ledge that you normally climb.
But no big Goron came out.
Yeah, that's why I think maybe his position was off. Okay, so what he's doing here is he's save warping and resetting, because as Cosmic said in chat earlier, the way wrong warps work, I guess, like with skipping a lot of details, one of the big factors of how wrong warp works is the last cutscene that you watched, and he's actually going to be doing another wrong warp in Dodongo's Cavern, but the last cutscene he needs to watch is the title screen, so that's why he needs to save and reset there. So now he's actually going to go fight King Dodongo. Okay, he does the faster strat here to skip the switch. So he's basically C-upping the keys, like using Navi to C-up on the keys on a very specific frame and hitting the switch as well. And that delays the switch from going all the way down, and it just gives you a bit of extra time to open the door without having to like go all the way around and push the block down and stuff like that. Oh, okay, thank you, Benji. He just said title screen or Bolero Firework. Okay, so King Dodongo, people joke that this is the hardest boss fight, but I've died to this guy once when I was trying to show off something cool, and then it ended up backfiring in my face. So yeah.
Dodongo didn't have any of your shit that day.
No, he's like, no, you're not styling on me, mate. You're going down. I'm like, okay.
Don't style on a Dodongo.
Exactly. So now he's gonna kill King Dodongo. Pretty simple fight, nothing too crazy there. But this next part, using the blue warp to warp somewhere else is pretty crazy. This is one of the more when people are learning this category, or specifically this trick, this is a pretty big bottleneck for a lot of people, because you need to watch for the bomb, like a bomb that you drop, the specific flashes that occur, and that can be a little bit intimidating at when you're first starting out. But I think for someone like CMA, it should be fine. Yeah, he's using this setup. Now, I think this setup was made by one of the other speedrunners called Xwazzle, and it's not one that a lot of people use, but I think it's pretty solid. It's really, really fast.
Once again, he's just trying to get the blue warp. And
yeah, he's sitting in a very specific. Yeah, he's trying to stay in a very specific spot, but also let the bomb kill him at the same time after he does the Ocarina items glitch.
It's usually a death with the blue warp then.
Yeah, so he got it there, and then once the camera snaps back to Link, he'll tap B to cancel it, and the blue warp will have advanced enough frames for him to warp to somewhere else. Molotov, it's set up by Xwazzle. It's 2 ESS turns to the left, and then just 2 backflips. So if he did this right, he'll end up at the Gerudo training ground. And this is a pretty big skip as well, because then he doesn't have to like go all the way to Gerudo Valley and cross the bridge.
How often when you're like learning the run do you like do like the death, like the tricks where you have to die and then like it just says game over and you didn't get the trick?
If you don't get the trick, you just like, oh, okay, try again.
Okay.
But that one is a bit more of a scary one to do, because like watching for the bomb flashes takes a bit of practice. So now he's going to do something called gate skip. So instead of having to get the Gerudo card to let the person open the gate for you, you can use the hover boots to run across that rim and then side hop at a very specific time and skip that whole section.
See, Link, he doesn't care. He doesn't abide by the rules. Gates can't stop him.
So now he's actually going to cross the wasteland. I guess normally in a casual playthrough, if you have the Lens of Truth, you have this Poe that will guide you, but you don't actually need to do it. You can actually navigate through the wasteland without having the Poe guide you, because the voiding, what is it? Where you avoid in the wasteland is consistent. So as long as you know where they all are, then it's fine.
Yeah, that was cool to find out when I was first watching some of these runs.
So yeah, he's just moving in a very specific way now. I've never seen this movement actually, so yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people are commenting they're seeing stuff they aren't used to seeing.
Yeah, like that setup there, that one he did to the Deku, the Dodongo's Cavern, that was only found like a few months ago, but I actually use it myself. I think it's a really cool setup, but not many people use it, and I think it's always good to try new things. Without the boring stuff. I'm sorry, Alex. I
said I get haunted by that.
I'm telling you, they're gonna destroy me later.
Every time it comes up,
I'm gonna get absolutely roasted. Okay, so now CMA is gonna start doing stuff in the water temple. Water temple, nice. Spirit temple. Don't know why I'm getting ahead of myself there. But instead of actually going into the spirit temple and doing the whole temple, you can actually skip a big part of it by doing this hover here, which we call spirit hover, and that puts you right in front of the mirror shield. So he's going to use this Gwei to get his initial hover. Normally we use a bomb there, but you can actually use the Gwei. I don't know how hard that is. If someone in chat could tell me how hard it is, please let me know. So yeah, this is the hover that he's going to do here.
That bird got wrecked.
No, yeah, well, that Gwei, it's like what you said about KD can sometimes take revenge on you. Those Gweis come in cycles, so even though he's killed that one, another one will take its place. And
it eventually comes, yeah.
So sometimes you'll have to check with a hook shot, and the music will often stop as well if a Gwei is close. Like for that one, I think he just quickly took a peek and I think he thinks it's okay,
Right.
but it's coming down now.
Oh.
I even saw Navi just flicker off to the side there, and that's how you know it's here. But I think he's pretty safe now. The toucan has arrived. Yes, Benji. So this is the hover that he had to do to get high enough to backflip onto this seam. And yeah. So that's the silver
Nice
gauntlets
lock
chest.
there.
So that's the silver gauntlets there. And then you super slide across this gap and jump slash to push yourself back a bit. And then that's the mirror shield chest. So he skipped a big chunk of Spirit Temple right there. Spirit Temple saves, I think, 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, that's pretty sick right there.
Yeah, Benji, he's a monster. For those in chat who don't know, Seema's ranked 6th at the moment in MST with a 206 as his PB. How did he turn around like that? You just flick your controller like up or up left cosmic and then let go and then flick down and then he'll turn around like that. It can be pretty hard to do like when I was starting out, but it takes a bit of practice. Didn't pull a John. Actually, one of our speedrunners who's also a very good MST player, he accidentally walked in front of the chest and picked up the silver gauntlets one time by accident.
Mm-hmm.
Enable emulator runs, Benji, and you see Tekla's actually ranked 5th, I think. Nah, Inu's ranked 8th, Benji. Molly, the one, not the super slide, or are you talking about the when you're doing spirit hover cosmic? Oh, he got very lucky with those bomb drops. G-Yib, it's based on your best time. He probably just let go of target at a specific time, Cosmic. That's how he got the turnaround. I think if you let go of target quick enough, he'll have time to turn around that you can jump slash ledge. Let's see what he's doing here. I don't know what he's up to. Oh, I think what he's doing, he's taking some damage beforehand. Actually, that's smart. I didn't think he could do it. I normally just use a bomb and damage buffer down. I didn't think he could use the Beamos. Okay, so he's doing something here called Spirit Temple Boss Key Skip. So normally you could actually play Zelda's Lullaby in one of the previous rooms and get the Spirit Temple Boss Key. But you can actually do a trick here to skip that section. I think this saves about 25 seconds. But it's pretty precise to do because you basically have to do a super slide, but you don't have much room to do it. That's why he's pause buffering here to get a very specific frame, and then he does his super slide. And then clips through and unequips hover boots, and now he is in the Naboo. So again, he skips a massive chunk of Spirit Temple. And judging by the amount of health that he's on, when you fight Naboo, after you fight Naboo, there's a cutscene that plays where like her armor falls off and the witches, I guess, I don't know what they do to her. But you can actually skip that cutscene, and judging by the amount of health he's on, I think he's going to do that. Yeah, for those of you in chat who just came in, Seema missed Box Mega in Jabu, so he ended up doing Beery Hover. I think just to show it off a bit, which I thought was really cool. So from a jump slash, actually that's something I didn't mention in this. In this game, a crouch stab takes the last attack value that you did. So for example, if you do a jump slash and then do no attacks after, each crouch stab will do the same amount as a jump slash.
Okay.
So what he did there was store a jump slash, do 9, and then do a neutral slash, get into a very specific position, and then like move Naboo, and then use Naboo and the bomb to clip through that wall. So the bomb kills Naboo, and then you void. So then as his cutscene starts to play, you void, and then you skip that cutscene altogether, and it puts him at the right amount of health as well, because he needs to be on half a heart or a quarter of a heart to do the cutscene skip at the end of this temple.
That looked like it took some orchestration right there.
Well, if you're confused, Jive, you can just let me know, man. I guess I think I just get a little bit carried away because I see a lot of the runners from our community. So I just sort of use the terminology. But if there's any terminology that you're not sure of, just let me know because I got chat open, so I'm able to I'm able to elaborate on anything. Plus, we have a few runners in chat as well. So if you're not sure, I'm sure they'll be able to help us out.
Yeah, feel free because I'm also trying to follow along myself here. And
yeah, I'm also sorry if I missed
noob. So
I'm also sorry if I missed a few things as well.
There's just so much with a game like this. It just, even when you're commentating a lot of this stuff, there's always like 3 things in between like your main point that are just like things that you haven't explained yet, but are really cool about the game that I want to ask a question about, but I don't want to like deride you either.
No, it's fine.
It's like, yeah, it's crazy.
If there's something you think you want me to explain, I'll feel free. I'm cool with it.
Okay.
So this fight's pretty stock standard. You just got to get 4 hits on either witch, and you can manipulate these witches to a certain extent. That's what he's doing with the hook shot there. Basically, when one is firing, he can hook shot the other and keep it in place. But there is a bit of RNG involved in this, and it can be a bit of a pain. Like I've seen runners, really good runners as well, lose runs to this because they just happen to be standing in the wrong place at the wrong time, and they're just, you know, you've got one witch in front of you, but then like there's one witch like right behind you, and you're like, well, what do I do?
So is the RNG changing depending on where you are in the fight, that type of thing? Is it hard to predict?
It's a bit of like where you last stood, where the next witch is, how they're moving together and stuff like that.
Okay, so you kind of gotta be paying attention if you really want to do it good.
Exactly. He's on a very good pace, actually. So now this is the second phase of Twin Rover. So you basically need to store 3 of the same element here, and the first 3 elements will always be the same. So now he's probably just looking for where she's going to go, so right behind him. And then... Yep, so now he fires, gets a jump slash, and then just crouch stabs Twin Rover to death. And then there's this infamous cutscene here that... There's a few names for this cutscene, so I guess I'll let chat decide what they want to call it. I don't know if this stream's going to be G-rated or not, or to scare people away, so I'll keep my mouth shut. So yeah, now that he's killed Twin Rover, yeah, there we go. Okay, never mind. So yeah, now that he's killed Twin Rover, he's on a quarter of heart.
See, this Ocarina of Time community is so dirty. Even Seema's got to wipe his hand.
That's why I said I won't start. I
don't know what's going on now, but
it's because when they're arguing, it sounds like they're saying what they're typing in chat, and so whenever this cutscene plays, a lot of us runners just sort of go ham.
Oh, okay.
Just like I said, it's one of those little things that like it makes, because you're running the same game over and over again. You got to find some sort of humor in like the tiny things. So now he's actually going to be doing
definitely
a cutscene skip. So basically trying to get the spirit medallion, but not watch the cutscene at the same time. So picks up the fish and drops it, and does a very specific setup here to get an angle. So then, yeah, he's on the edge of the blue warp and plays the fake Ocarina using Ocarina items, and then he's able to manipulate how many frames the blue warp advances. And it's again like what he did in Shadow Temple, where he kills himself, and in Dodongo's Cavern. So he's just doing an equip here. And depending on which way he's facing, yeah, that'll work. So now he will get the spirit medallion and also skip that cutscene. And that white flash indicates that he did it. Missing that one isn't as bad either, because you don't go to anywhere, and it's one of the more short. So even if you miss it in a run when you're first starting out, it's just like you can just keep going. And now the next temple he's actually going to do is Fire Temple. So remember how I said that if you don't have a fire tunic, if you don't have the Goron tunic, it looks at how many hearts you've got. Well, now he's going to be doing the.
I do remember.
And he's got 5 hearts. So each time there's a timer associated with the room, he's got a maximum of 40 seconds. So, but CMA's got some really good movement here, so he should be fine.
Speedrun within the speedrun.
I keep cutting out. Do I, Lotus? Do I keep cutting out?
A little bit. You're okay.
Am I? Okay, it could be my connection. I'm not pushing anything, Lotus. So what he did there was a trick called time stop. The reason we do that is if you walk in this room normally, Darunia will actually talk to you, and he's a very chatty Goron. But when you do time stop like that, it actually flicks your camera around such that when you enter the room, it won't actually face Darunia, so you won't talk to him. And then just moving in a specific way, you can avoid talking to him altogether. And the reason we need to come into this room is to get that key.
Is time stop a separate technique, or is that something that's just for this dungeon? Or
time stop, I know it's used also in Majora's Mask. We only do it once here just to keep that camera flicked around, but it's its own thing. Like, you can activate it anywhere, but it's most useful in this dungeon. You can also pause the timer when you're jumping and you push an item like Ocarina or Fish mid-air, and that makes the timer disappear for like a tiny bit, and that can actually save your life. If you do it right and do it enough, you can delay the timer enough such that if you need to get to somewhere in time, you're not going to die.
It's cool that you can end up doing this dungeon even without the tunic.
Yeah.
So been the case. I mean,
with Fire Temple, I think we comfortably 5 to 6 hearts. If you're like a cat like me, you'll do 6 hearts. But if you're like Beast, so you can do 5. I think people tell me you can do it in 4, but that is like really difficult.
And do you keep on getting extra seconds for the timer the more hearts you get, or does it like stop at a certain point?
Like, see, the maximum amount of hearts he's got is 5, so at max he'll have 40 seconds in each of the rooms that have a timer associated to it.
Oh, I see. The max is 40, but if you have like even it's for your max hearts, not your total amount of hearts that you've collected. So
no, it's just the max hearts you can have at the one time.
Okay.
Wait, seriously, Molly? You did Fire Temple with 4? Okay, I'm guessing the Kappa means you're joking.
Kappa.
For the wrong warp Lotus, it doesn't really matter, because when Fire Temple you have to die anyways. Having more hearts in the Vavagia fight can be safe, but 5 is generally what most runners do, because it's the good trade-off between risk and reward. Hey Sapphire, what's up? So yeah, he backflipped there to he backflips and presses the bottle button mid-air to delay the timer just a little bit more. And now that's the only section that has, well, that's one of the last sections that'll have a timer associated with it until Vavagia. I don't know PC Zach actually. Oh, serious, Molotov? Holy crap. He's actually going to skip this block bit by pulling a bomb at a very specific angle, and that pushes him through that gap. There's another setup that we used to use that involves hitting the switch, but there was a Japanese runner called Inu who found that strat there doesn't require us to hit that crystal switch on the side. It saves a bit of time.
How many wrong warps have there been in this run so far?
Oh my, well, I guess technically you could count the cutscene skips as wrong warps as well, because you're just warping to the start of the dungeon.
That's partly what I was wondering, if those count, or yeah, did those count?
Like, it depends on who you ask, but like I guess I would count them, because you're just you're warping to the start of the dungeon. So there's a bit of a few. The only like cutscene that we actually had to watch was in Jabu, when you walked into after you beat Baronade and you get the Zora Sapphire. That's the only warp you actually had to walk into.
I feel like the cutscene skips should just be like death warps, but with something else that may be attached to it, because wrong warp usually implies it's like not really supposed to happen at all.
Well, then again, the cutscene skip isn't really supposed to happen as well, like the death warp, like when you're warping to the start of the dungeon.
True. So
like I said, it depends on who you asked.
yeah, I see what you mean.
But so yeah, he's squeezes through that gap. What he was trying to do with the bomb there before was do something called a hyperextended super slide, if you do it off that wall and at a particular angle, it allows you to skip all these flame walls that he's doing now. And he took damage off that wall intentionally, so he's got invincibility frames, and then you can just backflip past this big wall without having to hit the switch.
That's a cool trick. I like that. Another one you can maybe accidentally do on a casual play.
Yeah, you could just, you hit the wall and you accidentally backflip and you're like, wait, what?
Or maybe if you just had the idea of like, oh, I have invincibility, maybe I could cheat this out somehow.
Yeah, exactly, Butlord semantics. It can happen though. Some runners get into pretty big arguments over this sort of stuff. Just stay out of it.
As long as it makes decent sense.
Yeah, I guess. I guess for me, it only really matters when they're trying to define like the rules or redefine rules for a category. But if it's just like general discussion, it's like I'm just gonna go to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what Cosmic pointed out there was when he was just mucking around, he was doing what are called gainers against the wall. They're basically like forward backflips. And actually, I can't do them that well, but he's just showing off and just showing how good he is. It really is, Molly. It really is. Well, yeah. Item manipulation isn't allowed, mathematical Steven. That's pretty much the only restriction. Get me started. So now he is gonna go get the Megaton Hammer. Actually, I've got a filthy confession. I've actually fallen down that gap when you go to Megaton Hammer. And it was the most embarrassing thing I've ever done. So what he's gonna do now is skip getting the boss key for Fire Temple as well. You can do a BK skip with this gap. When you use a Megaton Hammer here, and you use the recoil, and then so he needs a very specific frame.
So instantly using the item he got here to the advantage.
Yeah, I don't know who found this one in particular, but it's really, really cool. I've fallen. Okay, I'll run
this hammer just gives extra knockback. Is the reason this works?
I think this is that's the reason why it works. Like when I started learning this category, it was already used, so I never quite looked into the specifics of like why that one works. But he skipped getting the boss key, and now he's gonna fight Vivagio. Now Vivagio is one of those bosses that can also just end runs depending on like what hole Vivagio comes out of.
Really?
So yeah. So Vivagio's hitbox actually, I don't know if there's actually two models of Vivagio or the hitbox just extends, but basically after when Vivagio takes a certain amount of damage, he'll fly up. But before that, Vivagio's hitbox actually extends below where the holes are. And if you bomb a very specific spot, which is in the first hole you're looking at now to like the bottom left, you'll actually damage Vivagio as well. So you need to drop a certain amount of bombs, and that's the worst hole Vivagio can come out of, that one.
Oh.
So he's doing there's specific ways you can do this cycle. CMA is probably doing what's called 1-3-3. You drop 1, damage Vivagio, drop 3, damage Vivagio again, and then drop another 3. And the reason why we do it in this cycle is that it damages Vivagio enough such that he doesn't fly out of the hole, but also this next hit will kill him, like that.
So the bombs, they're dealing damage even though it's the wrong hole.
No, that
here.
Yeah, what I meant, like, where he was bombing was correct. What I meant, like, Vivagio can come out of any one of those holes. But for Vivagio to come out of the hole that you're bombing, it's like the worst. You can adapt to it, but like CMA just did, but it's just scary, that's all.
Oh,
okay, Lotus.
Okay.
There's actually the flying actor stays under the first hole. Right, okay. So now he's going to do another wrong warp here. I didn't realize the saying wrong hole was bad terminology. Come on, guys, grow up. I'm just kidding. Have as much fun as you guys want. It's good. So now, yeah, he's gonna be heading to temple. Oh, jeez.
Oh, he fell down. Is that okay?
That was intentional. Yeah, he
Okay.
needed to take damage there. And now he's at Forest Temple. And
Seems like
this is
Link. Go ahead.
sorry, this is a really, in my opinion, one of the more important sequence breaks because it's not really a sequence break because you could do forest or fire in any order, but if you wanted to do forest after or even before, you'd have to learn the minuet of forest, do that setup, and it's just waste more time. So being able to warp from there from being able to warp to here from Fire Temple is quite convenient. Delocky, when he drops the fish and picks it up, he's trying to set up for a glitch called Ocarina items where he plays a fake ocarina. Because in a boss room, you're normally not able to play a standard ocarina, but you still want to be able to manipulate the blue warp such that you can do these wrong warp and cutscene skips. So that's the reason why we get the fish. So yeah, he's just gonna go through Forest Temple.
So having the fish out is what allows you to get the fake ocarina.
Yeah, like you drop the fish and pick it up again when your bottle is blue. So you can do that with bugs. But the reason we opt for fish in the later part of this run is because the fish don't move as like frantically as bugs do. Like fish can sometimes like drop up and down and may slide out of position, but nowhere near as much as bugs where they just sort of scatter.
Oh, okay. Doesn't have to be a fish.
Nah, like if you theoretically picked up a fairy and your bottle is blue, you can do it with a bowl of fairy as well, but normally fish or bugs are the more common uses. But like I said, yeah, we do it with fish here just because when we were trying to get Bolero of Fire, we had to go into a grotto to get extra bombs, and we decided to use that to get some fish as well, so it just sort of worked out. It's just insurance, makes it a bit easier for us. So now he's trying to do something called a ledge clip. You basically roll and then you untarget and then you retarget on a specific frame as you grab this ledge, and Link will sort of clip inside, and that skips the Song of Time block there. Otherwise, you'd need Song of Time to get past it. I think Skater, one of the other runners, found that by accident, and then it sort of added more crazy things into this game.
Wow.
Yeah, especially as the fairy gets consumed, Jesse. But I think in Master Quest, I think in Goma's room, those bushes can drop fairies. So if you wanted to, like, you know, go for like complete luck, you don't even have to go out to get bugs. You could just bank on getting like a fairy in there after you do Gim. So now he's just moving a specific way to get to this part, and he gets something here called a ground jump, which sort of stores like a jump, I suppose you could think of it. And that skips the part of the block puzzle as well. His movement is actually insane. Yeah, skips a big part of the block puzzle, and then this he's now just skip past that. Yeah, he's actually very fast. Yeah, Bina, it does blow it wide open because of allowing us to do the boss key skip with the ledge clip. I'm pretty sure that's the reason why that one works. Yeah, I've never seen like CMA run before, but I think all of us in chat can agree on we're really impressed.
Whoa. Fell
just
down the stairs there.
Yeah, that was intentional. If you get the right angle and backflip, you're actually able to backflip past all the stairs.
That was goofy.
I wouldn't be surprised, Lotus, to be honest.
Temple's been pretty impressive, I gotta say, so far.
This forest temple's been very strong. These stealthos can... Oh, be careful. I think actually that was intentional. You want to be at half a heart here. Well, before the Phantom Ganon fight, you want to be at ideally half a heart. I always get scared here because I stay on more than half a heart, but I think he's just brave and venturing. What was he running, Alex, back in the day when you started watching him? Even he clutched his chest there, so that tells me even he was scared. So now he gets the bow here because we will need that not only for the Phantom, we'll need it specifically for Trials and Ganondorf rather. You can actually beat Phantom Ganon without the bow, and you do that in a category called All Dungeons. But because we need to fight Ganondorf in this category, we get it. But you can actually use this room here to do another boss key skip, which is what he's doing now.
Whoa! What the?
Yeah. Then now he's actually going to load Phantom Ganon's room.
When you, I have a question about the pause buffering, how that works. Like when you are pausing and unpausing, like when you're unpausing, do you get like a big window to buffer an input, or like how is it that you're able to do get precise by doing that?
There is a specific timing for pause buffering if you're trying to advance to the next frame, but in terms of putting using an input in something called unpause lag, the window can be quite large. The pause buffering timing actually varies between console to console. Like on VC, it's probably the best, I think personally.
You mean like the most?
As in, like it's consistent and it doesn't feel sluggish. Whereas like consoles like the IQ, the pause buffering is just horrendous. N64, it's okay. You just have to get used to it. Like I'm personally not used to it. But runners who run on N64, they're used to it. But yeah, depending on the...
So you do have to learn that. You do have to learn that timing just right. It's not like It's not like you're being given like a 8-frame buffer or something for what you need to do. Like you need to do it at the right time. Okay.
I think from what Benji's saying, yeah, it's a frame advancing frame by frame is frame perfect, but.
And so then the players are just unpausing until they get to the frame that they want, and then they're ready to do the input.
Yep. So you basically pause, unpause, wait for a little bit, then pause again to advance to the next frame. So sometimes most runners will mess it up from time to time when trying to advance into the next frame, because depending on what the room is like different things may contribute to additional lag in the room. For example, this room here can be quite horrendous to buffer in, but knowing CMA, he'll be okay.
Okay, yeah, thanks for explaining that. I always wondered exactly how that worked.
Exactly what Moltel said is if you're early on the pause buffer, there's no real... You can just try again, but if you're late and you advance 2 frames, then you could be boned depending on like what the situation is.
So that's why you see runners sometimes like pausing and unpausing like up to 10, 15 times.
Exactly.
Because they're just trying to be early instead of late. Because if they're late, they don't get it.
Yeah. So now what he's trying to do is he's doing another cutscene skip. This one is actually quite scary to do, but it is considered. Ooh, I've never seen this before. Like the way he's doing it now. I might. Whoa, what is this? What is... okay, I've never seen that before. I've never seen that setup before. But basically,
I thought he was dancing for a second.
Yeah, everyone in chat is like, what is... Everyone in chat was like, what is this strat? Some of us who are runners as well wouldn't know.
Sick. That's cool. That's really cool.
This is a new setup by SVA. So everyone's like, what the heck was that setup? Because normally what we're used to seeing there is you backwalk to a specific part of the fence, then backflip. But as soon as he started sidewalking, I was just like, whoa, that was interesting. Okay, so you made it this week. That's cool. But yeah, I think that looks actually pretty awesome. It looks more swag, Agent. That's why I like it. So yeah, now he's gonna go to Water Temple. So same thing like the other temples. He skipped the cutscene to get the Forest Medallion. And that one's actually a more crucial one to save, because if you miss that one, you have to talk to Saria, but then after that, you got to then talk to this baby Deku sprout that grows in front of the Deku tree.
That's pretty out of the way.
Yeah, so like missing that one is like a really big kicker, but he, like I said, knowing CMA is fine. So he did something there called Adult Aqua Escape. Sort of like how he did it as child before he came to Zora's Domain. There's another set that you have to do as adult. And the quickest way after Forest Temple to get to here is going through Zora.
Did he?
He used hover boots, and then he basically rolled at a very precise time, and then used the hover boots to get like that bit of extra distance.
Did he do some like trick to swim to that underwater gate back there? Or?
Yeah. There's a specific setup to do there to clip into that stone pillar thingy.
Oh man, just too much stuff happening right.
Yeah, so he then clipped through a part of the ladder, and
What?
then he actually able to like clip out of bounds and swim to the loading zone. Because otherwise, it's impossible to load that normally as adult. Because see how it's like frozen.
Oh,
And
wow.
then he did that ledge clip that I was talking to you about in Forest Temple, where he clipped through the Song of Time block. He did it just then here to swim to clip out of bounds and swim to Water Temple. Otherwise, you would need the like if you're gonna do it legitimately, you would need the iron boots, and that takes a while.
Yeah.
And so yeah, he's swimming out of bounds, and he's got to be very careful when he swims here, because if he swims too far the right, he'll clip back in bounds. But once you learn this movement, it's generally quite consistent. But yeah, as someone said in chat, Smoker, he's not farming for bombs. Normally, most runners I know, we farm a few bombs here just to make the late game a bit safer. But I see it looks like he's going ham. So now he's using the recall from the that gap. Otherwise, you would need long shot to cross that gap.
I just looked away for a second. I looked back, just Link's flying through the air. Everything's normal here.
it's pretty stock standard, I suppose, for an OT runner. So yeah, now he's doing a hover here to skip the boss key. It's getting the boss key for the Water Temple. And then you side hop and jump slash through a very specific part of that door, and it just clips you in. And now he's off to fight Morpher. So, Water Temple is normally like a dungeon that people really dislike in their casual playthrough, but in terms of speedrunning, it can be made pretty easy, especially in a category like ST where you don't have to do like stuff like getting long shot or getting the sculptures. It's very, very quick.
It cuts the bullshit, right? Am I right?
Yeah, like I don't want to annoy any more people. Like I said,
yeah, I'm rubbing it down at this point.
Yeah, like I like watching categories like 100%, but like in terms of playing it, I'm not sure, because I don't have that 4 to 5 hour gap in a day at the moment to do like such a long run. I mean, I do, but I don't know if I want to commit to it.
Yeah, I mean that's a long run.
It's a personal preference. Like I said, if people run it, that's awesome. I think the fact that we have so many runners run so many categories is a great thing. Okay, so now he's gonna take on Morpher. There's actually strat. You lure Morpher into the corner, slash, wait a bit, and then when you wait a bit, Morpher like hops into the corner, and then you jump slash to keep Morpher locked, and then just crouch stab to kill him.
That's pretty cool. And you get to see that death animation like outside of the water, which is different too. Or wait, kind of usually do. You kind of usually do. It's been a while.
Yeah, Cynex, he's actually doing the 1.2 route because he's actually on VC. I think they just put N64 there because OOT originally came out on N64. He's on VC, Molly. I just say it, Benji, because I don't know. So this is one of the cutscenes he won't skip, because to do some of the trials later in Ganon's castle, you need to have fire arrows, and if you watch this cutscene, it puts you at a great time of day for when the sun is just rising for you to shoot the arrow into the sun to get fire arrows. I think people have found setups recently where you can get the fire arrows without having to wait for the water to rise and shoot the arrow and swim over, but this is pretty good for MST if you ask me. And this cutscene like isn't as long, I suppose. If you cancel these cutscenes, you can actually run around here. It's interesting. I've never seen that, Lotus. That's cool.
Sounds funny.
I like just like I said, these like if you've been running this game for a while, like pretty like just tiny things here and there to entertain yourself. Yeah, you're right, Molly. My apologies because you Sheik like you gotta watch when Sheik like when the water rises and Sheik talks to you. Forgot about that.
Yeah, I think I've already learned a good decent bit about the breadth of the Ocarina of Time speedrun. Listening to you comment today, it's crazy, man.
Yeah,
there's a lot to do, and it just goes to show like that's why it is one of the most popular.
There's a lot to learn. I think there's still a lot to learn, a lot to find out, and as long as runners will go for it, I think that's a great thing. Molly just said it's actually faster to skip this cutscene and hover, but it's very difficult. Okay, fair, I get you. Thanks, dude. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like I said with Ocarina of Time, there's like so many categories to run that if you get bored of one, you can just switch to another. Like you got some people who are category specialists. Like you got runners who focus on 100%. You've got runners who focus on like any percent or like another category, but like it's if they ever get bored of one category, they can always try find another. There's like so many to do. So yeah, now he's just finished watching that cutscene, and he's gonna go get fire arrows now. So I guess one of the more like I said earlier with like when that boat skip trick that he did in Shadow Temple, when that got found, it got implemented into the all dungeons category, and then it changed all dungeons a lot to the point that it's really similar to MST now. And so there's this kind of, I guess, friendly debate in the community of like what's better, MST or all dungeons. Like I personally prefer MST because I guess I like it more. But like yeah, a lot of people's gripes about MST is doing the trials that are coming up and watching this cutscene here, but I'm like, that's all I say. So yeah, now, yep.
In all dungeons, so are you skipping a whole dungeon in the MST at some point,
no,
or
in all dungeons you don't have to do the trials that he's going to do now.
Okay,
which means you don't actually have to you don't have to get fire arrows, and because you don't have to get fire arrows, you don't have to get magic. And you don't have to get magic, which means you don't have to get Zelda's Lullaby. So it does change a few things, and the routes are very similar. The way I describe it to people, for those in the community that have asked, I say all dungeons is MST's younger but more butch brother. Like they're similar, but you actually have to do some pretty hard strats in all dungeons that you could otherwise omit in MST. Yeah. But yeah. So
well,
now
it sounds like you could maybe run both categories if you really wanted to.
Yeah, like I personally run both categories, but I'm trying to actually get all dungeons out of the way because I do find it to be the more boring one for me personally. And I was telling some people before that I'm the type of guy that tries to get the boring stuff out of the way first and then does some of the more does what he wants to do later. I've always done that with my personally in my life. I get I get my study done first and I can play games later and stuff like that.
Yeah, I can see that.
I'm just like, just get it out of the way. Sort of this, whatever, get it out of the way and then just move on.
Well, sometimes when you are taking on a new speed game in particular, you do have to put in the initial kind of research and you gotta study up a little bit and do some testing and trial and error, and it takes time.
Exactly, and like that's another thing too, like some people don't have all the time in the world to do like 100% or run like a longer-ish category like MST, so you just got to really pick your battles, I suppose, depending on what your time constraints are. That's why I said like Ocarina of Time is good, because you can go as short as any percent, which is like, 20 minutes on average, or you can go as long as 100%, which is like 4 to 5 hours. So yeah, it's good like that. So now he's just watching the light arrows cutscene here, but how you actually trigger this cutscene is what triggers this cutscene is the game checks for whether you have the shadow and spirit medallion. So if in another category called no item manipulation / no wrong warp. It's a category that bans item manipulation and doing any of like the wrong warping that you've seen CMA do here. In that category, the only 2 medallions that you get are Shadow and Spirit. And those are the only 2 medallions the game needs to check whether or not to trigger this cutscene. So in that category, you just do Spirit, Shadow, go to Forest Temple to get Bow, and then save warp to Ganon's castle, and it triggers this cutscene. So yeah, it's interesting. But like I said, there's so many ways to play this game. So there's a bit of something for everyone, if you ask me. Like you have a bit of friendly banter and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, most people tend to respect other people's choices of what category they run. And plus, that sort of variety, I think, is really important. It keeps, I guess, it keeps people interested. You know, like if there's only literally one category if there's only one category to run, not that it will get dry, but like it. I don't know. I like variety.
Well, yeah, I mean, and the game is, steeped in nostalgia, so people can find new ways to play it. It's definitely good. I think that's the point I was going for. I lost my thought.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting like that.
Do you ever wonder how much the game or the speedrun would be different if the programmers decided instead of only needing 2 medallions for this, you needed all the prerequisite items or anything like that? You ever wonder about the programming of the game?
Well, we sometimes talk about how lucky some glitches work because of certain things that we don't have to do. So in a sense, it's just, I guess, sheer dumb luck that we don't have to do certain things.
Yeah.
Yeah, Molly, maybe you should send him one of your adapters so he doesn't have to rely on the Wiimote anymore. But yeah, what Molotov just said in chat was because he has to plug it into a Wiimote, who knows what will happen if batteries run out or stuff like that. I've never seen that happen, but Molotov, have you had that happen to you before in a run? Where your Wiimote has run out of batteries and your classic Pro Controller just going rip?
He's probably got backup batteries, I'm sure.
I hope so. I've seen a runner who also, there's another speedrunner from Finland called RTA, and he uses a classic Pro Controller that CMA is using now. And he took a photo for me one time of this bucket full of used batteries. And I'm like, whoa, that is dedication. Oh no, Molly, that sucks.
What's going on?
Oh no, he just said, I asked him if he's ruined has a Wiimote ever spazzed down? He said it ruined one of his runs.
Oh no.
Yeah. I mean, the Wii Classic Pro Controller is actually a really nice controller, but the fact that you got to plug it into a Wiimote kind of is a big kick. So now he's going into his castle to do the trials. Sometimes there are some categories that actually, because normally when you trigger the Light Arrows cutscene and you walk over to this part here, it loads the bridge for you to walk over. But there are some categories where you actually need to go into Ganon's castle, but you don't have this bridge loaded for some reason. Maybe you missed on a medallion or something. You can actually use specific type of bomb hovering or bomb shoe hovering to get over there. But in this category, because you've already got all the medallions, you may as well just do this. So now comes
this is your reward for doing all that stuff.
Yeah, and this is the part that a lot of people don't like MST for this reason here, which is the trials. It's just a lot of movement. So I guess it's got a good name, if you ask me. It's called trials for a reason, because it is testing you one last time, I suppose. So I don't think there's actually a specific order you have to do them in. I normally do Spirit Trial last because I go to the right first, but he's going to the left. But yeah, you remember how he fired a bomb shoe at the very start of the run to hit that switch, and it's paying dividends now, because if he forgot to do that, then it kind of is run over unless he finds another bomb shoe source, which isn't that convenient. So at the end of each trial, you have to fire a light arrow into that orb. And then it plays this little mini cutscene of like the sage clearing this trial for you. Yeah, what Apasha said in chat is cool. Like, you shouldn't be locked into a category per se, but more of the mindset of, as I was discussing before with Aqua here, just learning more about the game, like exploring, seeing what's possible. That should be with any speed game though, not just Ocarina of Time. Okay, so CMA here is actually skipping a pretty big item, and the item is the Golden Gauntlets, which you normally need to pick up this boulder here to enter the light trial. But there's actually ways you can skip it, and I guess what chat was mentioning before was that because he's doing Spirit Trial first, it means the next trial will be Light Trial. I've actually never seen this setup, so this is actually really cool. Skipping the Golden Gauntlets does save a bit of time, but it's pretty risky. Okay, so he's going to get the key here. And Light Trial is fairly straightforward because it's just movement. I guess I'll ask chat a question. What's been your highlight of this run so far? Like, what have you liked about CMA's run? And have you enjoyed the run so far, Aqua?
Oh yeah, it's been good. I think my favorite part is when Link wants to be a fairy and he does those blue warps and just kind of flies. He kind of just kind of floats away.
He kind of just floats away, yeah.
Like a fairy.
New Forest Temple cutscene movement. Yeah, his movement's been really good, Tara. Yeah, like one of the things that really separates like the top runners from like good runners is definitely like how you move in this game. Like movement, I think, is crucial in any speed game, but like you really get to see like why people are so good. Like when their movement is generally good, it means they have a pretty good time because a speedrun in the community called DF, he mentioned this to me. He said you can go for good movement and not risk losing any time. And like you can still get relatively good times even if you have like mediocre strats, but you have like really good movement. And I've seen it time and time again.
Well, even earlier you were describing some movement, and you were kind of like talking about like, oh, it could be this. It could either be like 2 side steps and a backflip, or this combination of movement that will actually be better. So
yeah, like
real optimization in there.
Yeah, like sometimes people like time these routes down to like how many rolls we do, and so it's pretty crazy how far it's come. So now he's actually skipped getting the Golden Gauntlets, which you normally need to move that. But there's a very specific way you can actually clip through that block, because the reason you do that is because there's actually a rupee underneath that block. And you use the torch slug there to... Oh no. That's not good. Normally what he was meant to do there was he was meant to use the... You're meant to use the torch slug to like push you, and then you equip your hover boots and then get a boost across to grab that last rupee. But I think he just messed up. But it's okay, it's CMA, he'll do it again. What category is better to do if you want to learn Hundo but not now? David, I would say MST because there's more tutorials. There's a good tutorial by a guy called Zelly, and it's really, really in depth, and you will learn a lot from it if you ask me. I don't think so, Smoker. I don't think he got a fairy, so this is going to be pretty risky. I hope so, Strucken. Come on, CMA, you got this. I think it's a second damage frame from the torch slug. It gives you that boost. So that's 1. That's 2. And then now you equip hovers, and then you fly over to this rupee. Oh, this has been so risky, but he got it.
Oh, man.
And now you actually have to void here. You can't do anything about that. And then now, once you come back, you just do either a super slide or a mega slide hop over to where he needs to go, using another bomb. Oh, I think he targeted the skull there by accident. I don't think he was meant to do that. But it still worked.
Nice.
Man, he's cutting his clothes. But it's awesome to watch. He deserves a clap on my end as well for that.
That was pretty sick looking. Looked like he almost hopped or something, or skipped on that a little bit.
Yeah, Fire Trial is one of the ones that is really, really scary. Like, I think no matter how good a runner gets, Fire Trial is always one of the more scary ones, if you ask me. David, it's just that because all dungeons you have to do some of the hardest strats that you otherwise could avoid in MST. So it's up to you, but you're going to be in for a bit of a steeper learning curve if you do all dungeons as your first category. That's just my opinion on the matter, that's all. So now he's going to do Shadow Trial here. And Shadow Trial is the trial where you normally get the golden gauntlets that you would normally use to lift up the boulders that you saw in Light Trial and Forest Trial. Now, that green skull that he rolled past, I got hit by him on a run one time and I felt really embarrassed. And then I saw a really good runner also got clipped by that skull, so I didn't feel as bad anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like everyone was laughing at me, and then I saw another good runner get clipped by the same skull, and I'm like, okay, I don't feel as bad anymore. I won't say who it was though, but let's just say I'm not the only one to get clipped by him. Like, at the end of the day, when people like laugh at you, it's just like it's all in good fun. No one really legitimately, well, I hope not, legitimately means to like demoralize you like that.
Nah.
It's all good. Okay, so that's Shadow Trial done. And he's going to do Water Trial now. I'm not going to say who it was, chat. I'm not going to say who it was. World record, Nyberget is 1 hour, 59 minutes, and 36 seconds. I've got the leaderboards open, actually, in case anyone asked.
Under 2 hours, that's always nice.
Yeah, he's the only person to get under 2 hours. The guy called Marco. And for those who are wondering, CMA, the runner here, is currently ranked 6th on the leaderboards with his best time of 2 hours, 6 minutes, and 42 seconds. So considering all the mistakes he's made in this run, he's actually still doing very well. So that sort of goes back to what I'm saying of, like, if you have really good movement, you can fail tricks here and there and still get a very decent time. No, I'm not saying who it was, chat. I don't want to unnecessarily like put the guy in the spotlight. Yeah, what Smoker said, for a marathon, this is actually like really, really good.
Yeah, from what it sounds like, he's been going for a lot of the harder strats too and pulling them off.
Yeah. So now he's just got one more trial left with it, which is a Forest Trial, and this is one of the other 2 trials where you needed fire arrows. Well, you need, yeah. And then Shadow Trial required them. You can technically get by Spirit Trial, the one he did first, without fire arrows, but you have them, you may as well use them. No, original, I'm not saying. Yeah, it's still very, very good, Guo. Now, this room is actually annoying because on the Wii Virtual Console, aiming here is a little bit tricky because of how the dead zones are mapped on the Wii Virtual Console game. But I think CMA may look pretty easy there. Or 2,106. No, I'm not saying the name. So now he's just going to do some movement here to grab these silver rupees. So the trials don't actually have... there's nothing too crazy about them. It's just... you just got to get a bit of... There's just a lot of risky movement you got to go for at times. It is, Jano. It can be a bit of a risky category to run, but there are a lot of backup strats in case you do fail stuff, and you can still at least finish the run, if you know what I mean. Yeah, what Molly said, because, like, even if you fail it, there's, like, at least a few backups you can go for. And that's it. He's just finished the trial.
That's nice. You never want to have that one thing in a marathon run that can like kill it completely.
Yeah, and it's always good. Like, there's someone in chat called the Pasha. He mentioned this before about just exploring the game and learning a bit more. That is always good, especially like if you fail stuff, you've always got a backup strat that you could use. Because if you only just learnt like tricks confined to your category or the category that you, if something goes wrong, you have the means to fix it. It's sort of like, I guess it's sort of like a mechanic, you know, he doesn't just focus on one part of his trade. He tries to focus on refining all his skills. That way, whatever problem he encounters, he knows how to fix it.
Yeah,
so now
and learning like backups and stuff, that's equally as fun, I think, a lot of the time too. So I mean, it's not like it should be a chore necessarily, but
exactly
something
like
that's actually going to enrich your gameplay in future runs.
Exactly. Like if you're motivated by learning and like looking into new things, and like why, like what reason is there to ignore information? If you, that's my philosophy, I suppose. So yeah, he's just doing these 3 mini rooms right before Ganondorf.
All right, yeah, we're in the home stretch here.
This is the home stretch, yeah. But runs actually can die here if you're not careful. He's on a pretty low amount of health, but I guess it's CMA. He's risky like that.
His mouth is just kind of like half open right now, or was.
Oh, Molotov actually brought up a good point in the Wii Virtual Console version of this game, which is what CMA is using now. Sometimes the game will just inexplicably crash, and we don't know why. And it's for some reason some parts can, like all we call them VC crashes because it's the VC version. Mm-hmm. Sometimes like where it crashes, I've seen it happen multiple times, but we don't know why it does it. And it just can happen out of the blue.
No. Hopefully not too often.
No. They're quite rare, but like I find that whenever VC crashes happen, they're either at at a time where it's not important, or it could be like the most important time in the world. But CMA's he's been pretty lucky.
Yeah, nice clap on the knight's kill there.
Oh yeah, the reason, okay, I'll explain why. Yeah, because he killed both of them simultaneously, and we call that double knuckle. I've never seen the setup that he just used, but it looks interesting. Yeah, okay, yeah, Keanu mentioned I crashed the game in Zora's Day. Omchu and then crash. I don't know why. If someone in chat could explain why it crashes there, I'd appreciate it.
Remember when you ripped when you're gonna get a PB in the last boss of that? And that was so funny.
Molotov just said, I once VC crashed in a race and still finished in a loss. Oh, that sucks, dude. I think there's another speedrunner in our community called Danny B. Most of the people in the OT community know him. I think Danny is the world record holder for the glitchless category in this game. And I'm pretty sure that he was in Shadow Temple, which is the last temple in the game before you do trials. He VC crashed in Shadow Temple. I don't know. I gotta double check with him if that happened, but that's gonna be the worst. Like right at the end, just bang. So now he's gonna fight Ganondorf, and then, like you said, Aqua, it's the home stretch, mate. And the Ganondorf fight in this category, or any category that gets a bottle, I think is infinitely easier. Because for some reason the bottle has like an incredibly large hitbox. It's actually a lot more. I think it's a lot better than the sword. So you'll watch CMA do it now. He'll probably store a jump slash, or not. He doesn't have.
Can have the bottle out as a weapon with the ISG glitch active. Is that how it might work here?
What I meant by the bottle is you use it to reflect the orb that he just hit there. But CMA's a man, and he just used the sword. The reason I say it's a bit more annoying with the sword is because you want to store a jump slash there, but if you use the bottle, you can pre-store it and then go for ISG right after you reflect the orb with the bottle. But if you do it with a vertical sword slash, you got to store another jump slash and then get ISG. And getting ISG in this room can be a little bit tricky because of like Ganon's animation with him like glowing and stuff. But like I said, CMA is obviously a big man, and he just
that was awesome. He had his hand up and everything, doing the fucking swag, freaking swag. My apologies.
Nah, he's just showing us why he's so good. Oh, that's happened to me as well, Benji.
Yeah, he's been having a good time, so must have been a good run.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, like regardless of whether a run goes good or bad at a marathon, you get to show off your speed game to an audience that may be not as attuned to it. So I think regardless, it's always a good opportunity, and I think all speedrunners can attest that it's always fun to show someone else what we do. Whether or not they understand like all of it, they still get to just see some of the more obvious stuff, and maybe they get interested in it. And if the community grows, it's awesome.
Mm-hmm. There's no other person talking here.
It's just us two, Benji, on the restream. So what CMA is going to do here is a trick called Void Warp. Basically skipping a big chunk of the tower. And this bomb placement here and where he's positioned will push him right into a void, but it also, I think, if my understanding is correct, it triggers a loading zone as well when he didn't even jump slash. Whoa, he jump slash very late there.
I think I might have seen this when I think it was like Cosmo was doing the any percent runs back then.
Yeah. That was the way you do it in any percent is you have to get a Hess off a rock because you don't have bombs at this point. But because you've got bombs, it makes it a little bit easier. Oh my goodness, is he really going for... Okay, he's good. But you know how at the beginning when I talked about
whoa.
He just did a setup to get the kiss there. I don't know why people bash runners for getting the setup for the kiss. It saves 2 frames. Like, why not go for it? But yeah, the reason, like in terms of like defining category stuff, when that boat skip trick got implemented into categories, it spawned a discussion about whether or not we should allow that trick that CMA did there as whether or not we should classify that as a void warp or a wrong warp. And it eventually got it because for a long time it got classed as the same. It got classed in the same category as a wrong warp, but then it got sort of moved to like a void warp. Like it's not classed as a wrong warp, so you're able to use it in a category that doesn't allow wrong warps. So for a while it wasn't allowed. Then like throughout this year it started to get allowed into like some of these other categories. It's spawned a bit of a discussion. That's why I said like when new things get found, people will start to like think about how we're going to start redefining things and whatnot. And it's never a bad thing if you ask me. Like as long as people don't take it personally, it's never a bad thing when people are discussing.
Yeah, because it's for the greater good, right?
That's how I like to see it. Yeah, it's for the greater good. But CMA is doing very, very well.
Yeah, I had never seen an escape quite like that. That was crazy.
So now it's just the home stretch. And he stores a jump slash there. And in some categories where you don't get another bow or hammer, ideally hammer, you normally can... Because Ganon knocks away your Master Sword in this cutscene. But if you do a super slide into this cutscene and hold the shield input for the whole animation when Ganon is like flailing about, you actually get to keep your sword. But in this category, it doesn't really matter because even if he knocks away your sword, you still have another item that you can sort of poke him with, and that's the Megaton Hammer. So he is safe.
Just uses the hammer then?
Yeah, he stores a jump slash so that the Megaton Hammer crouch stabs will still do the same amount of damage as a Master Sword jump slash. Because it just makes the fight like a lot shorter, because the Master Sword jump slash damage does a lot more than just like a neutral slash. I'm pretty sure with a neutral slash it would take like 10 hits, whereas with like a stored jump slash and then you crouch stab, it only takes 3 hits for this cycle.
Oh wow. Yeah,
saves a lot of time. So yeah, that's first phase done when he sort of like when the camera zooms out and like Ganon sort of falls down. But you can tell like he's definitely a lot more relaxed now because it's the home stretch.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, missed that jump slash there. Oh my gosh, that was scary. Having said that though, runs can still die to Ganon.
How much does he hit you for?
4. He hits you for 4 hearts.
Oh wow.
That's why I'm saying
Yeah,
runs
that did look pretty close.
We had another close call there. Holy crap! Oh my goodness! Stop! Holy crap!
He keeps getting really close.
Oh, well done, CMA. Well done. Okay, that's it. He's probably going to get a time of 2:15:23, I think, if my estimate's correct. That was so close. Holy crap! And he hit his estimate as well, which is awesome.
Yeah, right.
He estimated 2:15, so it's like well within. Yeah, I know, Molly. I didn't want to put any names. Yeah, 2:15:20.
The run can still die. It'll die.
Yeah, 2:15:20 was the final time by CMA. So good job, buddy. Good job. He did really, really well there. Like considering the hiccups he had at the beginning because of like probably nerves, but he did really, really well. And I'm sure everyone on the restream and on the original stream enjoyed that.
Oh yeah, that was a great performance.
That was great. That was a lot of fun actually to watch. I'll type GG in chat as well to join in on the fun. But yeah, everyone in chat, that was MST. So hopefully, if any of you haven't run the game before, hopefully you guys will pick it up. If you are running this game, pick up MST, please. I like this category. So who's up next, Aqua?
Yeah, so up next, we got Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Oh.
And that's going to be from a runner name is Kien Naka.
Kien Naka. Okay.
He'll be doing any percent glitchless on the Xbox 360.
Oh, that'll be good. Castlevania is also a very, very good speed run.
Yeah, definitely another big hitter there for sure.
Absolutely, yeah. And chat's excited as well.
Oh yeah.
Chat's excited since you said. They're like, oh my goodness.
Soten. One word, Soten.
Soten, exactly. Everyone knows what that means. I mean, I don't think I'd ever run Symphony of the Night myself, but watching it is just like amazing.
Usually a fun watch, no matter what category of it. But yeah, this category is a bit different. They're going to be doing the any percent glitchless, which I don't believe is a very popular one.
So
from what I know, I haven't been too in touch with Soten community, but
yeah, neither have I. But fingers crossed it'll be good. All right, I think that does it for me.
Hey, great job on commentary. Everyone loved it, and that was pretty sick. So good job.
No worries, Aqua. Thank you for having me, and thank you for having me, chat. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Sorry if I missed a few things, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. And hopefully I'll see you next time if we do it again.
Hopefully there will be another one. I think there will be. I mean, this is getting some pretty good reception, and if it's Japan's first big one, then ideally they're going to restream it or allow us to restream it again and get some people more into aware of the Japanese runners, I suppose. That'll be always good. Yeah.
So are you hosting the next one with Turbo Dog?
I am indeed.
All right, I will go into general setup and let Turbo know he can come in.
Okay. Sounds good, Mikami.
It was my pleasure, Aqua.
Yeah, my pleasure as well. Take care.
Have a good one. Take care. And see you later, chat.
Alright, so yeah, as he said, we're going to get the next runner in here. Just a moment. Turbo Dog, or not commentator. Excuse me. And there he is. Hello, Turbo Dog.
Hi.
I hear you.
But yeah, sound check's fine. Volume's okay.
Yeah, sounded good.
All right. It's Aqueous or Aqueous?
Aquas. Like the planet from Star Fox 64.
All right.
Yep. Funny, you just called me by one of my nicknames that one of my other friends says. Kind of ironic. But anyway, yeah. So Symphony of the Night glitchless. I was just saying that I think this category isn't particularly popular. I'm just kind of coming from the ROM Scout any percent days here. But you want to talk a little bit about the glitchless category and kind of what surrounds it here?
Well, I'm going to be very straight with you on this. Kanaka is going to be playing a very different type of glitchless than what you would typically see if you were to tune into another Soten runner doing glitchless. So Kanaka is kind of an interesting individual inside of the Soten community. He doesn't really interact so much with the people that are, from Brazil, United States, kind of the other people, but he has kind of his own way of running the game, and that's kind of one of the things that I find kind of endearing and interesting about watching him run the game, is that he has decided that in some of the games that he runs, most notably Soten and Harmony of Despair, the kind of online Metroidvania game, that he chooses to ban certain items for himself, just because he doesn't feel like, I suppose he feels that they aren't particularly interesting for the run, if that makes sense.
I can understand that completely. So it's kind of putting some extra challenge on himself, like a type of challenge run. Could you regard it as that, or?
I suppose I would say the bigger thing is just making the game enjoyable for himself. And I mean, in the end, when you're talking about a hobby like speedrunning, everybody wants to be extremely competitive or thinks that it's about getting the first place time, but I would at least like to feel like anybody who is in this hobby and enjoys speedrunning is doing it out of enjoyment for fun. And, if you find that your game isn't pushing the categories, like if the most popular categories aren't things that are very interesting to you, then, I mean, the field's wide open to experiment and try things and see what you enjoy in another capacity.
Yeah, certainly. No one should feel restricted to, compete on a leaderboard necessarily. Whereas personal improvement should be its own reward, right?
Correct. And don't get me wrong, I do think that there is a place for competition and striving to improve and being part of a community. But, again, it's like, I'd like to tell people, you can run the game any way you want to because it's about having fun. That doesn't mean that you're going to get on a leaderboard or people are going to follow in your footsteps or whatever. But again, if this is supposed to be kind of a personal thing in a hobby, then you should do what makes the hobby enjoyable to you. And Kanaka really does that. Probably most well known for doing 200.6% runs, glitchless. So he basically does all map completion to get the good ending and plus some. The most notable thing that you're going to see in this is he has chosen to, besides doing glitchless, he's chosen to ban out the shield rod, which is a weapon that is extremely, extremely abusive, that you can get extremely early inside of the run, and it kind of carries you through all the combat as you make your way through the castle.
Yeah, huge change there.
He also seems to be, so again, from what I understand, the few times that I have seen him stream, he tended to do kind of that Kanaka glitchless 206% that I was talking about. So his adaptation on the normal glitchless layout, like an any percent glitchless, is it's going to be unique. Let's put it that way.
Cool.
You're not going to see a world record caliber routing or strats, but you're gonna have some fun if you know about the game or about speedrunning the game. And I'll do my best to kind of try and make that accessible to you guys as well, because this is a run that, I mean, I kind of just looked up at what he had been working on the last couple days, because again, I hadn't seen him run glitchless, and he has a very unique take on games. So I'm going to be trying to give commentary kind of off the cuff at places. So forgive me if I don't know exactly where he's going in certain areas. But it's, like I said, you're going to see stuff in this route and in this run that you're not going to see anywhere else. So it looks like we're getting started here.
Indeed.
Just as...
Or I think...
Right, so you're going to go ahead and split now.
Timer's not going.
Oh, okay, well, he might be warming up his buttons or whatever.
Possible.
There we go, yeah. I was going to say, when he does his name input, then we're going to start.
Well, he did put his name in.
Yeah. I think he was supposed to have started. All right, so the beginning part of this, we'll just say it. The intro, he's going to try to use holy water for Hydra Storm in order to do just enormous amounts of damage to Dracula. By throwing the holy water after a Hydra Storm, he can potentially get a damage stack, which saves quite a bit of time, particularly on Drac Form 2. The most important thing that they're trying to accomplish here is defeat him in 1 minute. And it looks like he's going to try this again. All right. This is the fun part about the live stream, right? You have absolutely no idea when he's actually starting.
Because he's trying to get under a minute, or I don't understand why they're not...
I'm not seeing them starting the clock, so I don't know if he's just practicing or if...
Maybe he is just practicing.
All right, well, just in case he continues past this, I'll kind of discuss this intro. And as I mentioned, the main part he wants to do here is try to defeat Dracula within about a minute. That'll guarantee his best stat growth. Or not stat growth, but initial stats, I should say. That's particularly important for glitchless. If you watch any percent or all bosses or some of the more glitched categories, it's much less important to get full stats, and that's just because of how abusive the beginning gear is when we skip death. For the glitches category, you're not going to get that opportunity, so, very, very key that he tries to get a good start on the intro.
Is